He wants you to think that he's the best thing ever. And so as a result, you actually worship him. You're like, adore him. You're like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. Can't believe this. And so all of a sudden he's put up on this pedestal. And he's like, yeah, keep the praise coming, keep the praise coming. But he's doing it in a, thank you. He's not doing it in an overt way that's going to piss people off. That's going to make them be like, oh, he's so full of himself. But he's still going to be that center of attention, trying to pull it in. Covert narcissist. What is the covert narcissist? You've heard the overt narcissist. You've heard just about narcissists in general. And then we start getting into all these different labels and defining covert, communal, vulnerable, malignant, all these different pieces. Okay. What is a covert narcissist? If we had to really divide them up into two main camps, I would typically divide them into covert and to overt. You've got the loud, like the flamboyant narcissist, and then you have the quiet, shy, like, oh, don't look at me, but I'll still manipulate the situation. So there's a lot of different pieces. I'm going to be reading a couple excerpts from The Covert Passive-Aggressive Narcissist by Debbie Mirza. So if you haven't had a chance to see this, be able to check this out. Also, if you haven't had a chance to see some of our journals, we have two journals. We have From Fantasy to Reality. Here we go. Show it right here. And then we also have From Regret to Gratitude. Both of these journals you can get on Amazon, and they're fantastic ways to start processing your mindset of where you currently are, of breaking down the stories in your life and starting to focus on the things that actually help you heal, one of those being gratitude. Anyways, we're going to step into The Covert Passive-Aggressive Narcissist by Debbie Mirza, and specifically in this piece of Covert Narcissist, we're talking about defining it here. The word covert is defined in the Merriam-Webster dictionary as not openly shown. Passive-aggressive is defined as displaying behavior characterized by the expression of negative feelings, resentment, and aggression in an unassertive, passive way. The narcissistic traits are true of overts and coverts. Like, they're the same. They're just hidden different ways. The difference is the covert narcissist hides their dark attributes because they want people to like them. Their reputation is extremely important to them. Overt narcissists are usually annoying people. Most people don't like them. They're showy. They love to talk about their achievements. It's obvious that they're all about themselves. The overt narcissist is the type of person who will go on and on about how great they are and how much they've accomplished while people in the room listening are rolling their eyes. You're going to be able to tell a difference between the overt and the covert narcissist. So let's dive in, and we're going to look at 4 different traits to help identify a covert narcissist. 4 different nuances that you're going to see that might be different than overt. So the first one, covert narcissists will often have careers that are impressive. They can be pastors, spiritual leaders, therapists, and heads of nonprofit organizations. They can be politicians who are charming, look you right in the eye, and seem to really care. Coverts do have a grandiose sense of self, are preoccupied with fantasies of power, require excessive admiration. But they hide these attributes so people will like them and trust them. They know that if they're obvious about the self-absorbed traits, people won't like them. They believe they are special and entitled, and they know it would turn people off if they let that be known. They know that they must appear humble and liked and revered. They know how to play people, how to charm them. They are master manipulators. They don't have empathy, but they have learned how to act empathetically. They will look you in the eyes, make you feel special and heard, make sounds, and give looks that tell you that they care, but they really don't. They mirror your emotions, so it seems like they have empathy. They have observed and learned how to appear to care. They thrive upon attention of others. People who think or act as if they're amazing are their energy supply. They have people around them who adore them, respect them, revere them, and see them as special and almost perfect, and in some cases seem to worship them. Okay, so we're looking for someone who has this status, and it's so covert. This is what's hard for people to be able to see. It's so covert because they have these pieces inside them of, well, I'm special, I'm amazing, I'm the best person ever, but let me look more humble. Let me look better so that other people will like me. I think one of the things that's key was actually towards the end was this piece of revere and worship. A narcissist, a covert narcissist, wants you to worship him. He wants you to think that he's the best thing ever. And so as a result, you actually worship him. You're like, adore him. You're like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. Can't believe this. And so all of a sudden he's put up on this pedestal. And he's like, yeah, keep the praise coming. Keep the praise coming. But he's doing it in a, oh, thank you. He's not doing it in an overt way that's going to piss people off. That's going to make them be like, oh, he's so full of himself. But he's still going to be that center of attention trying to pull it in. One of the other things they mention is like they've observed how to appear to care. Like narcissists, a lot of narcissists know how to care to a certain level. Even when you read the DSM-5, it says lacks empathy, and it also mentioned is unwilling to acknowledge or identify with the feelings of others. Oftentimes, this is a piece of where he even knows what empathy is. He even knows, hey, that actually hurt someone, but he's unwilling to identify with the feelings and needs of others. He doesn't really care. Like, okay, but I'm not really going to do anything about it. I'm not really going to invest the time and energy to show that care to another person. So inside of the work environment, when I worked for Chick-fil-A, one of the pieces there is I was really good at certain aspects of my job. So there's different people that would revere me, that would quote unquote worship me. Like, oh my gosh, he's so good at what he does. And as a result, that just made me feel better. But I kind of brushed it off, be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, because I wanted to make sure I looked humble enough while I still got all the praise and recognition and attention. You see, that's the piece of like the covert where he pulls it out. He looks good. He feels good. He's like, oh man, I'm so amazing. But he has to keep that subdued and hidden so that he doesn't look like he's just an egocentric asshole. All right, so that's the first one. Second one, covert narcissists are likable to the outside world. They appear to be giving, humble, and kind. So some of this is the same, but remember the first one we're talking about the position of power and how they come across. It's usually only the person who gets to know them intimately who sees the destructive traits. That would be you, the person that saw underneath the mask. All of a sudden you saw all the darkness inside. And you're like, whoa, this person is not as nice as what they thought. The rest of the world sees the facade, the nice guy. Many therapists don't see through the mask and are indeed often impressed with how kind and aware the covert narcissist is. And you understand this. This is why I don't recommend you going to therapy with a narcissist, especially a covert narcissist, and especially going to a Christian counselor or therapist, because they're very not well suited. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the understanding to actually go through this. It's not playing down those people. It's just I've seen a consistent trend of them being very stupid in the fact of narcissism of, hey, let me actually work with you. And they're believing everything the person's saying because the person is great at lying. And as a result, they just work with what they have. This is the hard part about therapy, is you're working with the person who is in the room. You're not working with the other person outside the room, and you're not getting their perspective. You're working with the person that's in the room. So the covert narcissist lies and tells all these stories. You're like, well, yeah, it does seem like you're abused. No, but it's this piece of lying. Okay, likable to the outside world. Covert narcissists seem to intensify their behavior around middle age. They rarely change because narcissists blame others and usually don't think they have a problem. It always has to be someone else. It can't be him. Everyone loves a covert narcissist on a surface level. They tend to not have long-lasting friendships with people who know them deeply. Surface relationships. They may have friends who've known them for years, but don't really know them. They're rarely without a partner. After they discard you, they move on quickly to another source, another target, who will then think they're so lucky to have found such a nice guy, but just like you did in the beginning. So this is a piece where like it will come across like he's the best thing ever. It'll come across like he's wonderful. But on the outside, it'll appear a certain way, but then it'll appear different to the rest of society. Because when you get close, you start to see what's underneath. When you start to see what's underneath, the mask starts to slip and you see who he actually is underneath, understand that's the real version. It wasn't like, oh, he was a nice guy and then he turned bad. No, he was a bad guy and then you just pretend to be nice. Okay, I'm not trying to like put good or bad and like have all that judgment, whatever. But how he's actually coming across, like healthy or unhealthy, it's working or it's not working. Understand that oftentimes you think, oh, now how he's acting, this is just out of the norm. No, what you fell in love with was out of the norm. You just didn't realize it because you hadn't seen it before. All right, third one. Covert narcissists will do things that are unkind to you, but somehow you will end up apologizing. It's not uncommon to feel like things are your fault. Anybody have had that? Have you all had that before? Like you feel like it's your fault? Okay. They aren't doing anything wrong. You convince yourself. Then, when you are with a covert narcissist, you learn to ignore your gut feelings, your instincts, and over time believe the narcissist more than yourself. You will come to realize that the narcissist has slowly programmed you to see things the way they want you to see them, and gave you the messages about yourself that they want you to believe so that they can keep controlling and manipulating you into continuing to be their supply. This is hard because for a survivor they have a hard time explaining what they've been through because in their mind it doesn't sound that bad. See this all the time when I talk to new clients. Is they'll be talking to something and I'll be like, pause. Like, did you understand what you just said? Did you understand the ramifications of how much he just manipulated you there? Did you understand what he actually changed mentally? Sometimes I'll have the person close their eyes, put their hand over their heart, both hands over their heart, and actually think through what actually happened. Do you feel it? Because oftentimes you've compartmentalized it, you've disassociated with it just to survive. And I get it. But you have to feel it in order to actually know, I have to change this. Like, this has to radically be different in my life because I can't keep living this way. But so many times survivors are minimizing the abuse that has happened to them. All right, last one here. Covert narcissists can appear to be a loving partner for a long time. The behavior often becomes more aggressive at the end of the relationship. This is when the narcissistic traits become more obvious. The sense of entitlement, superiority, the arrogant attitude become more pronounced. They will still be covert with others, but the survivor will see and experience more of the overt traits coming to the surface. The mask cracks when you, the survivor, begin trusting yourself. The stronger you become, the less they can control and manipulate you. This is the piece. If you want to win inside of the toxic relationship, like you want to rise up, heal yourself. Focus on you, because as you grow and develop, it will piss him off. As you grow and develop, he'll start falling apart even more. When this happens, they no longer need you. You are no longer supplying them. This is when you feel their rage more than ever. This is when their behavior turns aggressive, cruel, and shocking. After victims have left the relationships, they look back and realize how depressed they were for the majority of the relationship, how alone they felt, how they blamed their constant fatigue, health issues, and sadness on other things, not realizing the toll the relationship was taking on their body and their spirit. As a result, it's common for the victim to experience many health issues while they've been in the toxic relationship. This is because covert narcissists slowly break your spirit down over time without you seeing it, and you end up feeling like you are the problem. The emotional turmoil often manifests it in various physical ailments. Inside of appointments that I do, I will ask people, what has been the physical impact? What has been the cost inside of your physicality, your body? And it's amazing to see how many of them are exactly the same. Probably one of the biggest ones, autoimmune. Next one, hair loss. Next one, lack of sleep. You can't sleep. You're going to sleep a couple hours a night. You have sleep insomnia. Next one, weight loss, weight gain, yo-yo in the weight. The list goes on and on. Migraines, gut health, like everything. We've had people that have spent $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 the previous year doing all the things, trying to figure out what was wrong with their health, not realizing that it was them getting out of the toxic relationship and healing themselves mentally and emotionally that fixed 90% of the health issues. Like, we've saved people thousands of dollars because when they've partnered with us, they've realized, oh, when I actually get my mindset right, when I get my spirituality right, when I get my physicality right, when I get all these different pieces right by separating from him and focusing on myself and my own healing, all of a sudden things start to line up. A lady just in our Thriver group the other day that mentioned, hey, the other night after she went through some meditation practices that we taught her, she got a full night's sleep. Like, this full night's sleep after 30 some years of no night's sleep, of maybe 2 hours. Like, she got over 6 hours. She was blown away. She thought it was the most amazing thing ever because she's starting to get that under control because we're changing her thought process. We're transforming a mindset from the inside out. This has to happen for you to break the trauma bond, for you to get rid of the addiction, that addictive pull, pulling him to you, pulling you back to him over and over and over again. If any of this is resonating with you, I want you to reach out for help. If you're a woman trapped in a toxic relationship where he's cheated on you, he's abused you, he's lied to you, and you don't know how to be able to move forward, please go to rawmotivations.com today to find freedom. You can go to rawmotivationscoaching.com to be able to find freedom, to be able to hear from other women that have actually gone through this process, that they have actually been liberated, been freed, mentally, emotionally, or physically. I want to be able to help you find freedom. Because right now, you spiraling around, you trying to figure this out on your own, you even talking to different therapists, and they haven't provided a structured step-by-step process to be free, you need that. And we've seen that with thousands of clients that we've worked with, helping them find liberation and freedom of who they actually are and move forward in a healthy way. So reach out today, go to rawmotivations.com, rawmotivationscoaching.com. You can go both ways. I just try to give you a direct link. rawmotivationscoaching.com today. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day, and we'll see y'all next week.